Hello, good people of Earth and beyond who are listening to this. Some days I wonder if some higher species or just some intergalactic species is out there listening to my podcast and laughing at me. Um, it just because I know I say a lot of random things, but folks, I am Baron J67.
And I am Johnny.
Johnny. We are StarCrossed Gamers, and I know we taking a little break, but new year, new us. I got to get it out the way. Got to say it. I really do I actually had somebody a few minutes before I got off my last shift before New Year's, and they said it. They said it. They were like, see you next year.
Oh,
Or no, or yeah, I got so frustrated because I made it a whole day and nobody said it. It is not that it truly bothers me. It's just that it's so cheesy and cliche that if you
mm-hmm.
can go a full New Year's Eve without it, it'd be really good. Like it'd be a breath of fresh air. And yet to this day, I have not made it a New Year's Eve or days leading up to New Year's without somebody saying "See you next year."
Yeah. I was out of town with spending time with some family,
Oh,
and
nice.
even with them, I was not able to escape it.
Like I'm in the room with you. I will see it. I will see the year change as I'm with you, looking at you, fellow people. It's pretty funny. But back to why we're here, StarCrossed Gamers. Um, let's talk about what we last left off on and said we were actually going to do, and this is us sticking to it and being men of our word because that matters. Like
It's consistency.
its consistency is key. Wow, I didn't even come up with a word of the year that I'm gonna live by. Consistency was last year. Didn't really live up to it as much as I thought I would, but we're still here and we're ticking. So we'll come up with a word eventually. But so consistency, sticking with it. Star Wars as a whole. What do you think about the state of Star Wars right now, Johnny?
Oh boy, the general state of the Star Wars franchise, I would say, is a dark period, to put it politely.
Mm,
It's not what it used to be.
mm. Now, I gotta ask, just playing devil's advocate. Just playing devil's advocate. Do you feel it's that way because you've grown up and it hasn't, or is it just no longer catering to its original fan base? What do you think?
Now, I grew up with the prequels.
Okay, nothing wrong
Same,
with that.
no, of course, but I see it, for me personally, but based off of the general fan base, maybe it has something to do with that as well. But I remember everybody, like my father who introduced me to Star Wars, he always said, the originals were better, the prequels were bad. It's ruining Star Wars. I don't think he said that personally, but I know plenty of people his
Oh yeah,
age were saying that.
oh yeah, that was the
And
running theme.
and I grew up with the prequels, and it is to this day my favorite time span. So I think personally, my predisposition towards the sequels has to do with that,
Mm,
because, but at the same time, I think it's also because of the direction the Disney empire has tried to take Star Wars.
mm. You know, I'm okay. So this is one thing for me as a whole. Star Wars follows trends in the sense of the first one you had you had your ultimate bad guy, and then you had the ultimate bad guy's general who you thought was really the ultimate bad guy, and then it led to two people being the reason for the fall of that bad guy. um that's kind of a rough sketch. And then even in the prequels, that's kind of what happens. You had the ultimate bad guy who was really pulling the strings, and then then you had the one bad guy in Dooku who you thought was the big bad guy, but actually he didn't even really matter.
No,
And then which kind of disrespected him in a way because he was a pretty good bad guy in his own way.
he
Um,
was my favorite.
yeah, he was pretty cool, and his lightsaber was dope. We had that discussion. Um, so to get to now going to this current trilogy, it's
Hmm.
like they threw the guidebook out the window, and the go ahead.
Not originally though,
No,
because
oh yeah, that's what I was gonna get to.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was gonna get to the point that they set up so many things in the first movie that they completely ignored in the second, and then they tried to jump back and answer in a rushed way in the third. And that's I also think a big part of that is like with I mean, you can roll this over into video games, like with Bethesda Game Studios. When you try to cater to the world instead of
The core fan
the
base.
core fan base, you tend to fall short in the eyes of the people who made you as famous as you are. Now,
Exactly.
now a company as big as Disney doesn't care. Let's be honest.
No.
They have no care in the world. Now, where they do care is from what I understand money wise, this is a successful movie, but it's not a successful Star Wars movie.
Episode 9.
Yes. I
Okay.
don't know the exact numbers, but I've seen something along the lines. I think from the quartering, which I watched that guy's YouTube videos. He's pretty good. He I want to say they're one of the hundred and something $1 million weekend bust movies. Like they, if it was any other movie, it'd be astronomical. Oh my god, great Oscar title! But it being a Star Wars Disney movie, so you
Yeah.
got some of the two biggest franchise logos on there, Disney and Star Wars, and it did not do astronomical blockbusting shut down theater numbers. Like the fact that I drove past my theater, because my theater, thank God, we have 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Preview showings on Thursdays. Normally, there's lines down the block. I could count driving past. I was able
Hmm.
to glance over and count how many people were in line for the ten
That's sad.
o'clock showing for a brand new Star Wars movie. That is miserable.
Well, you know what that has to do with? It
What?
has to do with, well, as you know, and if you're a fan of Star Wars, you may also know that the overall consensus for the movie's predecessor, The Last Jedi, Episode 8, it was a near 50-50 split in terms
Mm,
of if you liked it or if you hated it.
true.
And I think the majority of people that hated Episode 8, myself included, just did not want to go see 9. You know,
Understandable.
the story as it was just derailed,
Yes.
and you don't want to see a train wreck continue.
Mm-mm.
you know it goes off the tracks, you turn your head, you don't stare and watch.
The thing that there's some major, spoiler, of course. We're gonna have some light spoilers, folks. I'm gonna try to keep it as light as possible for the new movie. Even though at this point you probably should have seen it, or you've read a million articles, or seen enough tweets, or read it, whatever. Um, the issue for the second one was they threw out the whole "who's raised parents" thing. Threw it out the window.
Hmm.
Completely trashed it. You turned Luke Skywalker into the complete anti version of himself just to
Hmm.
force Rey to be the new ultimate good. Um, it was like really heavy handed in a very very weird way. Like the okay, let's go back to the 2000s prequels. Um, or the what would you call that series? The prequels, the Clone Wars. What we'll call it the prequels.
Yeah.
Um, when you go to the prequels, I think they handled Phantom Menace very well. They didn't force our hands in when it came to Anakin Skywalker. They
No,
did not force it. They almost treated him like a side character who didn't matter in that movie. The true main
that is very
characters
true.
were Qui Gon and Obi Wan. Like hands down, there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Anakin was just a straight side character who you happened to know who he was going to become. That's
Yeah,
that's all. He was very. They handled that very well. Now that I think about it, and I really, they handled that really damn well. Cause here it is, you have the ultimate figure. Like when you think Star Wars, first thing I hear is either the Stormtrooper March song, or I hear Darth Vader breathing, or I see Darth Vader. That when I think Star Wars, that's what I immediately jump to for me.
yeah.
Um, Now, for you to know that this character is going to become him, and you not make him the center star of the show, where he's on screen every 5 minutes, where he's, just the main absolute focus. He was the main mission for Qui Gon and Obi Wan, but it was more of Obi Wan's intro than Anakin's, or more as an intro to their relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a better description. Um, and if they would have handled, I feel like they didn't have to necessarily do that with Rey in the current trilogy, but I feel like they forced they forced it a little bit in the second one and scrapped a lot of major plot points. Even the relationship building was scrapped. Like they
Yeah.
were like I wouldn't have been mad if Finn would have ended up with Rey or like that it wouldn't have been necessary, but I wouldn't have been mad at it. But don't tease it that heavy and then completely not make it happen. Like
Exactly.
completely like I've never seen such a television tease a tease on screen that hard and then for it to completely fall flat as if it never was supposed to happen. It was
Well,
so almost
yeah.
like they're gonna give us another movie. That's almost how they did it.
Well, there's kind of a reason why that kind of happened. Like the complete 180 between 7 and 8 into 8 and 9 is because it was different directors.
True.
Ryan Johnson had complete freedom in episode 8.
Uh huh.
Of course, J.J. Abrams, who did 7 and 9, he gave him,
He had
like
the plot
the,
board. Yeah.
yeah, he had the board, but he just went, nah, you know?
And I'm gonna
I'm
tell you,
sure,
I
yeah.
don't. I keep cutting you off. I'm so sorry. Keep going.
What was I gonna say? I'm sure, JJ had like a huge reveal in episode 8 planned, but, it just didn't happen. And that's why they had to rush slash force a lot of crap into the 9 to try and cover the tracks.
Yeah, man. And once again, spoilers. Even the way they handled Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, it was you could feel how rushed it was for a movie. What? How long was the movie? Let me see. What was the playtime? 2 hours and 22 minutes, and it felt rushed. How is that possible? Like,
Well, yeah, that's true.
how do you give me a rushed vibe for a movie? And then even the way they did the side characters, like they randomly turned Poe into a formal criminal out of nowhere.
What?
Yeah, spoiler. Like I said, it'd be light spoilers. I'm not gonna spoil it too hard. It's not like a major plot breaking moment, but they randomly made him like a former criminal vagabond for no reason.
Because
Like
why not?
because why not? And why not recreate Han Solo like he didn't exist? Why not? Um
He was in the first movie, but
yeah,
we
so
need a new one.
let's bring him back. And it was super weird that like why force the hand it It wasn't okay. Let me just say this outright, folks, because I'm clearly stumbling over my words. Because one, I'm not trying to spoil it completely, but two, it's I like people to see things for themselves, because some people may fall in love with it. This may be the how the prequel was to you. You know what I mean? Like for some kids.
Yeah,
And I don't ever want to knock that because whatever brings you into the world, God bless you. Like you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
that's how I feel. Whatever, just get here. Like so we can all enjoy it and talk about it and debate and go back and forth
Yeah.
and people can point out different things and but back to a okay, well let's jump to this. Let's jump to the first movie. There was a point I was trying to make going over all the series. There's always a mythical creature who is truly guiding the whole story. And who was there as the ultimate power, but nobody believes his ultimate power. The prequel got screwed because it was supposed to be Jar Jar Binks. He was supposed to be the ultimate evil, and
Of course.
people were just outright against it, and everything pointed to him being over Palpatine. Um, Everything pointed to it. How do you go from village idiot to counseling the emperor of the dang galactic empire? How?
Am I missing something here?
You don't remember that? Him
Jar
walking
Jar?
Jar Jar was counseling Emperor. Now I don't know if it was a cut scene. I don't because
Oh,
of course I've watched so much stuff over the years, so I don't know if it was a scene that was cut. But you can go and find it right now, and if you remind me, I'll drop the link in the description. Um, there is a scene where he's like counseling Palpatine, walking shoulder to
oh.
shoulder. Yeah, dude, you
I
go.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, so it must have been in the extra scene. So you go from
Yeah.
village idiot to and then magically surviving a war. And then if you go pay attention in the village, people weren't when he went to Gungan, I believe that's what it was called, right?
The
The underwater city,
Tapoka City?
something like that. They were Gungans, right? Is that what they were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody was afraid of him. They weren't like, "Oh god, watch out, it's the village drunk." Move. Like, no, they were generally afraid. Then this dude is all of a sudden dodging and magically weaving his way through the freaking Clone Wars. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. You don't magically do anything in the universe of the Force. I'm sorry. Not
You can
possible.
you can accidentally create a god character with no flaws.
With no flaws. And but check this out though. Who was the creature in in the prequel? They basically got rid of it and then forced it to be Yoda, which we already knew Yoda was gonna be Yoda. Like we already knew that much.
Mm.
They forced it. But now let's jump to the current trilogy. I'm really ranting. I'm digging deep here. Uh, the current trilogy, they had too many little people who were like great figures of power and wisdom, and it was too many. They went from you had Yoda in the swamps, and then you had Jar Jar Binks, and then you threw in Yoda to now it's like five of them. You got Babu Frick. You got it's just a bunch of different people. And the crazy thing was, so you seen the first one of the new trilogy. What was it? I forgot what it was called.
The Force Awakens.
You seen the Force Awakens, right?
Hmm.
You remember that whole when Ray found the lightsaber scene, right?
Yeah, with the vision that
Okay,
got
that
totally
got
ignored.
retconned. Yeah, that got completely retconned. That made and you know what? That vision made me so mad because for those who have read any Star Wars books, there's a whole set of twins out there that exist in the books. Um, and I honestly thought Ray and Kylo were gonna be those twins. That would have made they technically played on it in this trilogy. The whole idea of them being connected and the duality and the force and being able you forgot about those twins, didn't you?
No,
Oh.
I randomly just had a Star Wars like epitome.
Mm.
So we're kind of sidetracking from the movies here, but
Let's
we can
do it.
come back to that in a second. But Knights of the Old Republic,
Oh, glorious.
I've started to replay it,
Glorious.
and I finally got past that stupid boss in the military base.
Oh.
And the main character and the side Jedi character, Bastila Shan, they have
Uh-huh.
a force bond, which is like
Oh
they
God.
share visions, they're like interconnected, they know each other's like thoughts and crap. Ray and Kylo.
Ray and Kylo. Yep.
Redcon.
Redcon. Hey, and you know what's so crazy about it, man? I just that's straight golden age BioWare right there.
Before
Go
the dark times,
before the
before
dark times.
EA.
The before. We call it the before. Um Kotar was Kotar was one of those games for me, man. And then there was a game I believe that came out either I can't remember when Jade Empire came out, if it was before or after Kotar. But Jade Empire was another BioWare legend that I would love to see. I'm not big on remakes, but since we live in the universe of remakes, I would love to see a remake of Jade Empire with mixed with Absolver level fighting. Oh god, that'd be beautiful. For those who haven't played Absolver, it's a combat based, hand to hand combat based game where you spawn in this world and you just go and you kick ass. It's kind of easiest way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I would love to see Jade Empire with modern combat that exists out there in the game world. Oh, it would be beautiful. Even if they took on a For Honor style fighting, I would be happy with that too. Ooh, that would actually be dope. Some type of kung fu For Honor style fighting, more hand to hand combat. That would actually, I'd be okay with that.
It could work.
It could work. Not so much weapon based, more hand to hand combat. I'd be
And
down with
that's just
that.
animations and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but no, but with Star Wars. So now clearly we're talking. So long story short, I just feel like
Sequel's
this.
bad.
Yeah, the way I feel is it was bad for no reason other than money.
Yeah.
I truly feel that whole thing with what was it, who was the first director, Abrams?
JJ, yeah.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams. Like you don't switch directors with a trilogy like this. This
They
isn't
did the
some
originals though.
they switched with the originals.
The originals, every movie had a different director, but George Lucas was like the unifying figure to keep
Well,
things on
oh,
track.
okay. So there you go. That's the phrase that pays. We're missing George Lucas, but who knows if he even wants anything to do with it?
He does, but
Yeah.
they shunned him. I was
Mm.
just reading about this. Basically, it was part in right before he sold it to Disney. He appointed Kathleen Kennedy as his successor as like head of Lucasfilm, and she had been his like assistant slash like confidant for years,
Got you.
and so he was of the mind that you know that friendship, that partnership would allow him to influence the future of Star Wars.
Oh, so like I'm in it, but I'm just not my name and face anymore.
Yeah, it's like Count Dooku and Palpatine. But basically, Kathleen was like, "Nah, well, I'm not gonna do that. I like Bob Iger more," and he got shunned. Apparently, they brought him in to like help write Episode 9, but they didn't like his suggestions and cast
Because
him off again.
yeah, dude. See, this is the thing. When you get money counters making the major decisions, like what could we do to get us more viewership instead of just creating? That's I was just reading a tweet from a guy I follow, Alex. He does a lot of great work. I don't know if he listens to my stuff, but I consider us to be Twitter buddies. He made a good point about like the one big negative about the internet is that people do things not to create anymore. It's for the most part people create to get likes and viewership.
I can definitely see that being true.
Yeah, and it sucks. Like I mean, I think we talked about it before. What Instagram did with now you don't see how many likes you get. You just see likes. You just see
Yeah.
heart. It's good. It's good for the creative palette. So now Disney is on this whole thing of let me buy everything and make as many blockbuster films as possible and in as many genres as possible at and it sounds like a good idea and it sounds like it's gonna work and it sounds like it's gonna be a wholesome thing and be good, but it turns into just slapping stuff together for the sake of making people feel like it's for them. So
If
the more people you get to belong, the more people who watch it.
if I may intervene here,
Yes.
up until so like they the method of unleash as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
that stuff worked with Marvel, their other big name thing. They pumped
Yes.
out a movie every year. But, you know, I think those films, by and large, were more action based more than story based.
Facts. You know what?
So,
For the most part, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of hard to argue.
and Star Wars is more plot over action.
Action. Very true.
But I think they tried to just copy paste their method of printing money because that was the original plan. Remember, they
Yeah.
wanted a new movie every year. They had a plot. They had like that roadmap they had where it's like
Yeah, they did.
seven, Rogue One, eight, Solo.
And
They were gonna do like another movie in between that.
I'm gonna be honest. In the last, I don't know if 10 years is a safe number to say, but I think Rogue One was the best movie.
Out of the new
Yeah,
generation.
yeah. I think Rogue One was the best. At least it had the best damn trailer. I'll say that much. When I first seen the
Mhm.
Rogue One trailer, I instantly thought, "Oh, this is gonna be an Oscar-winning movie." I think this is gonna be the first Star Wars to win like a legit best film Oscar. like, like
It's funny how
I really did.
it's funny how the more profit like the movie everybody likes so far from the Disney era is the one that is based in the original trilogy.
Not even, yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Solo kind of bombed because nobody asked for Solo, but
Yeah, that was another forced moment. And then to not build on it. Like, okay, maybe don't be so scared. Like, hey, you bombed, but make the next one better. The cast wasn't bad. You just didn't fill the story out because that would have connected the Clone Wars, Darth Maul, and then it would have connected so much, and you could have had a lot going. And then, I mean, but then you would have had to somehow figure out who was the one to deal the final blow to Darth Maul. Was it going to be Han? Like who was gonna be the one to do it with like Chewie catch him off guard? Like who really finally killed Darth Maul? Because clearly Obi-Wan didn't.
yeah,
Um,
you know, I don't know if you saw this, but there's a comic book out there. I don't know when it was released. I'm assuming it was after the Clone Wars was finished with him,
uh-huh.
but they didn't. I think this was before Rebels, so they didn't have any idea what Maul was going to be doing.
Okay.
So basically, they brought his. They made him 10 times cooler in that comic book. I don't know if do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah, go ahead. Break it down.
So basically,
And
it,
folks, we
it
play video games, we swear.
yeah, Star Wars is just a passion for both of us.
Yes.
Um, so basically, it starts with Darth Maul in a prison because Darth Sidious sent them there,
Okay.
and I think it's like Count Dooku goes there to try and like reveal the information. Or no, he wants to confiscate all of the um, allies and equipment that he built up when he tried to take over Mandalore, if you remember.
Yes.
So he wanted all that stuff, but Maul didn't give it to him. And later in the comic, he's broken out of prison by none other by the Death Watch Super Commandos, like the guys that stayed loyal to him. They
Oh,
painted
okay.
their armor red and had the horns on their helmets.
Yes.
They busted him out with Oh geez, I forget his name. But like the prime minister dude that he released from prison
Got it.
in yeah, so he was in charge of the rescue operation, and then they brought him to like some base on some other planet. So and it's Darth Maul, his Death Watch commandos, and I think the Hutts kind of deserted him. So it was basically just the Pikes and Black Sun is left,
Okay.
and then none other than the monster himself, Grievous, shows up with a joint army and basically wipes them out. But in the last stand, I think I'm maybe confusing this, but it doesn't really matter. Long story short, he's able to capture General Grievous, and when Dooku comes to free Grievous, he gets captured as well.
See,
So basically, Maul is in control of the two most powerful people to
outside of
Sidious.
Palpatine. Yeah.
So I think that's where it ends. It's basically just a huge bargaining like standoff.
See,
But I thought that was awesome.
oh yeah. No, I rolling like okay, let's roll this over into video games because we clearly just did half a show talking about Star Wars movies.
Star
Um,
Wars video games.
Star Wars video games. I love them. When they're great, they're great. They're top tier games. Everything from Republic Commando,
Mm-hmm.
not Dark Alliance. Was it Dark Alliance? No.
Dark
Uh,
Forces.
Dark Forces. Freaking yeah, because that was the one that had first person and lightsaber battles, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude, top tier games.
Let's not forget
Kotar,
the original Battlefront.
the original Battlefront that I would play for hours on end. I would be a freaking sniper on Kashyyyk and just,
Yup.
oh my god, I love that damn game. Like,
And the Force Unleashed were also great titles.
oh yeah, man, bringing Star Killer had Darth Vader shook. Um, and he's a great actor in himself, the guy who played Star Killer. So
Sam Witter, I think.
yeah, I don't know why they didn't run a side movie with Star Killer. It's in between. It's in a dark phase. It's in a dark time of the movie series. We wouldn't have known. You could have ran it while Vader was out running the Empire, running the schemes, trying to come up with a way to take over the Emperor. Like before he knew about Luke. Like it's a bunch of ways.
Yeah.
Excuse me, my
But
dog is eating something.
okay, let me take over from you. So basically, Star Wars games, they're a coin toss. Either they're iconic treasures that will be remembered for generations, or they are banished to obscurity. But thankfully, there are more treasures than obscurities, I think. And I can say without a doubt, pretty much all of the EA games will be banished to obscurity because the first Battlefront, for those who do not remember, did not even have a first person story mode. It
Nope.
was
All
solely
PVE.
multiplayer.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they also had like the skirmish mode, just basically battling against bots. But that was a $60 game. And then Battlefront 2, disastrous launch.
Yeah.
You know, basically they brought entire like governments into the fray on that one. But as I must admit, apparently nowadays it's a lot better. But I don't know if that's an excuse.
And and you know what? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. You sound like you was about to go on a good one.
If say if you start if okay, here. The Battlefront 2 launch say got a score of -100 for
Mm.
simplicity's sake.
Mm-hmm.
If it climbs all the way back up to 0, technically it's better than it was, But is zero really a good way to look at it? Is zero good
Mm.
when
And
it
that
could be at 100?
my issue with the and this is speaking to the industry as a whole. We as consumers have found it. We've given the gaming industry a big pass when it comes to putting out broken games, and we
Absolutely.
basically have signed up to become professional beta testers.
Hmm.
That's what we are. We have as a society every game that's a game as a service. Anytime there's online experience,
It's
we
gonna be
basic
broken.
it's going to be broken. We have signed up to be quality assurance. Folks, you pay to be quality assurance. At least Steam tells you the truth and says it's early access.
Indeed.
Like that, let's be real. And consoles have started that whole early access thing. At least Xbox has. I don't believe PlayStation does it that often, if ever. Um Now that I think about it, I don't think PlayStation does early access games like Xbox does. But really, that's we sign up to be quality assurance. And I tell people you vote with your dollar. So the whole thing with Battlefront, I just actually talked with somebody who plays it currently, and they were like it was pretty dramatic. They felt people were being dramatic. Me, I don't think so. I don't think it was a dramatization. I think it was amplified by major reporters and news outlets, and then the
Yeah.
fact that it, like you said, governments got involved. Anytime you make a scenario where it makes more sense to buy the item than to earn it, you're forcing people's hand.
Let's not forget that it was also very shady on behalf of EA
Yeah,
because,
super
as
scummy.
you just said, you know, the whole thing where it's like you basically have to pay to unlock the hero characters rather than trying to earn them legitimately.
Yeah,
That's
because there's just
that's
not enough
that's
time on
gross.
Earth.
And then let's not forget that time the Battlefront 2 moderator, community moderator or whatever, got the most disliked comment on all of Reddit because he was trying to buy off all of the other moderators with like free copies of the game to like silence opposition or naysayers.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very shady ordeal. I think it pretty much still is
Yeah.
because from what I've seen of gameplay now, that even if you were to start right now, I think you would still be in quite a bit of trouble and would find it very unfair because based off of they may have canceled the like pay to win aspect of the loot boxes and crap.
Yes.
I think they just said it and did not actually do it because you still have the perks or whatever, and you can still pay to earn those perks in the loot boxes. And basically, you can have like 20% more damage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact numbers because
Haven't
disclaimer, I have
played
not
in a
played the
while.
game.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but so all of this is secondhand. But based off of the videos I've seen of gameplay, and I've watched quite a bit, I think it's still broken.
Yeah.
Because if you just bought the game now, you are not going to have all of this like tier three or whatever maxed out perks, and everybody and their mother is just going to run around like one shotting you. I, that may not be the exact
It
case,
it's
but
it, so I've played it. I put a good amount of hours into it. I want to say last year. Because the game's been out for a while, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, about
Um,
4 years, five
yeah.
now.
So I think about year two, going into year three is when I actually played it. Um, and oh, I'm sorry. And I that wow, that was a long pause. So I played it. I had fun with it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not really when it comes to imbalances, unless it's completely obnoxious. Like I'm out there getting one shot at every time I poke my head out. I'm I'm not complaining because I've played games. You know what I mean? Like that. That's me. That's just me. Like I play Destiny, and I run with blue weapons. I haven't unlocked any major weapons on Destiny 2. Like the guys I play with, they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm sitting here running in Crucible with the lowest tier weapons, doing work, killing and taking people over. They're like, but if you had this gun, if you had the recluse, if you had, I'm like, yeah, but I don't. So sorry. Um,
I think the heroes were
the
still
heroes were the
unbelievably
over.
overpowered, though.
Yes, the heroes were super OP.
If you've seen on the YouTubes like the 200 kill streak world record videos, I mean, I don't remember getting 200 kills world records in the original Battlefronts.
No, not that I remember either.
You could do quite a bit of damage, but you eventually die.
Yeah, as it should be, because then at that point you might as well just call it like nukes, like in modern, like the original Modern Warfare. Like why,
Yeah.
if somebody gets so much of a streak, let them just drop the kill. Like boom, you won. You unlock Palpatine. You unlock Spirit Fingers. That's what I called them
Feel
when I
like
ran against Palpatine. God, those Spirit Fingers, the lightning would go through the wall.
oh Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, it would straight go through walls. It's like here comes Spirit Fingers, and he'd be floating around, laughing, murdering. Like the dude, like it was just evil.
But surely if that's happening with spirit fingers and all of these people getting hundreds of kills without dying a single time, you know, being on that other team must be absolutely horrible. And I know for certain if that was happening to me, I would quit out the lobby.
Oh yeah.
You know, what's the point? You know, clearly he's not going to die.
Oh
I
yeah.
think not keeping that in check just completely ruins like the fun aspect of a game.
You have to have balance. This is the balance is wow. The force. Wow.
I know
Wow.
the core principle of the Star
Right, of
Wars.
Star Wars. So just like in Star Wars and in the Force, you must have balance in order for things to function. Because without balance, this is why it was such a scandal. This is why it was so many some governments getting involved in, because money was the deciding factor, not skill and not time in game. This is why, even though I've complained about Destiny in the past, when Destiny is really functioning well, it's one of the best games out there for the simple fact that either you can do well in the game due to how much time you put into it, or just being raw, just being skillful, just being epic at it. You and there has to be that level, like even in me being a casual, because I consider myself for the most part a casual gamer, because outside of Destiny I don't dump that many hours into every game I play. Like I don't think there's any game I've ever played where I'm like, oh no, you'll never be able to touch me in it. Like I'm top tier.
Not
Because I
even
just
Stardew.
oh man, don't get me started on Stardew Valley. I gotta go check on my brewery now that you mentioned it. I started a brewery in Stardew Valley, folks. It's
Exactly how the
amazing.
game how the game developers foresaw that.
Yeah, I definitely started a brewery, and then I finally unlocked the greenhouse, which I'm so proud of, and I'm growing wheat year round, and growing hops year round.
Does that
Uh,
game ever end, by the way?
I don't
Like,
think
is there an
so.
actual ending?
Well, see, that's the way I'm playing it. I'm playing it for all the major accomplishments. Like I'm trying to
Oh,
get all
okay.
the stars. I'm trying to build the community center. Um, I've done a majority of the community center. Like I've unlocked the greenhouse. I've unlocked I've unlocked the railway system, and I'm actually working on unlocking the fish tank. I'm almost done with that. I think there's like two more fish I gotta catch, and then I'm almost done with what's going on, buddy? My dog is tripping. He probably has to go to the bathroom. I've unlocked the pantry. I finished that. So I want to say there's only 5 stars you need to unlock in the community center. And from what I've seen online, the community center is like in-game content. I've gotten to the
Okay.
bottom of the mine shaft. Um, I've done a lot in the game, and I'm only on year 2. I'm
Wow.
on year 2, spring year 2.
I do
Um,
find it funny that in games like that, Stardew Valley, sure, but like it's not, on its own in this, that you can be like a farmer, you can be like a just some random person in a
yeah,
town, and then you can just suddenly become like, the mayor based off
yeah,
of just how much you do for it.
yeah. Like, for a while when I first started playing the game, because with this title, I wanted to avoid the internet. But then I got to a point where I was missing a lot of stuff and didn't realize it. So I went to the
Hmm.
internet because that's what makes the game so beautiful. It's simple and complex in the same sentence, which is weird, but if you play it, it makes sense. If you haven't played it, just go watch some videos. So you got weather system, you got day and night cycles, you have so many hours in a day to get things done. You got relationship building, you got combat, you have mining and resource farming, and then you have legit farming. Then you have
The
animal
most important
raising.
thing,
Yeah, then you have animal
fishing.
raising, fishing. Um, only like it's crazy. You get to build in detail. Like there's you get to design houses however you want, build stat. Like it's crazy the amount of stuff you can do. And then on top of all that, there's a story and there's multiplayer. Like at this point I'm
What a game.
married. Yeah, it's an amazing game even if you only used it to burn time. Like just
Hmm.
in between, like if like right now, if I was editing a video and waiting for something to render, open it up and finish a day in Stardew. Like it's so much fun. I haven't even played multiplayer. I haven't played what haven't I done? I think multiplayer is the only thing I haven't done on there yet. It's dope. I highly recommend it. I'm happy I got into it. Um, but I've also made the mistake of picking up Dark Souls Remastered. I picked up Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Neverwinter Nights, Icewind, and Torment Planescape. So I totally and The Witcher 3, Moonlighter, and something else. I had a very, very fruitful Christmas, and I made the mistake of picking up at least another 1,000 hours of gaming on a low
I
end.
actually had a pretty good Christmas haul as well.
Oh, snaps.
The flagship title that I got was Morrowind.
Ooh.
I've yet to pick it up though, but I've also gotten games such as Heat Signature, which is like a space version of Hotline Miami.
Okay.
I got a game called Kingdoms to New Lands. It's like I don't know how to describe that game. It's pretty unique. Um,
That's the 2D side scrolling castle building one, right?
yes,
Yes.
you have uh, Knights of the Old Republic 2 Sith Lords.
Mm.
So that'll be a treat after I finish the first one. JK, that's never going to happen. And I got one more, but it eludes me. Never mind. But by and large, Morrowind, I'm looking forward to extremely.
Or did you get the console version, or you picked it up on PC?
PC. All these games are on
Ooh,
PC.
ooh, you're gonna have fun. I want to see more. What did they call it? Morrowind and Skyrim,
Oh,
or
Morrow, Oblivion.
and then the Sky Oblivion, or Sky Oblivion and the Morrowind one. I felt like that game was so naturally big, and then I like the way you leveled up.
In Morrowind?
Yes, if you
Okay.
jumped, your acrobatics went up.
Hmm.
If you snuck around, your sneak went up. If you stabbed people with the small blade, your small blades went up. Like I think that's the best way to do RPGs because then it truly tailors to the way you play and it feels more legit. Um and like I think we've said it on here before, I personally enjoyed Oblivion and Morrowind more than Skyrim. I
Preach it.
feel I feel like Skyrim was it was great. I'm not gonna sit here and knock it like it wasn't great, But I feel like Skyrim was what Fallout 4 was to the Fallout universe.
It tried tapping into the mainstream.
Yes. Yes, it did. Now, let's be real. Skyrim was super successful to the point that you can even play it on Alexa. So I'm not trying to
Hmm.
disrespect it. I'm not crazy, folks. Like, I do understand the greatness that is Skyrim. But at the same time, if you compare mechanics to previous games, it fell
It's
short.
yeah, they took a lot of stuff out to
Yes.
simplify it.
Yes, they made it a little more open, and that might be why it is more successful. That it was beautiful. How did you turn a game that was all like 99% snow and mountain into something pretty? Um, they did great works, but I just felt like there was key mechanics missing that would have made it absolute god tier. And then why weren't you able to spend more time in the Daedric realms? Like, even though
Mm,
that was kind of the core of Oblivion, was dealing with Oblivion. But I felt like that was a big, big dope factor. And then the dragons were almost overkill.
what, like too many?
It was one too many, and then they started to become unnecessary really quick. I feel
Yeah,
like it's
once you get
real
all the
easy.
shouts.
Yeah, I feel like it was even before you get all the shots. I feel like it was real easy to become god tier in Skyrim.
I mean, they did have the achievement to kill the Elder Master Dragon or whatever.
Yeah,
Apparently, that's like a real challenge.
I
I
just
actually
want.
earned that.
Oh, snaps!
Hmm. I think I have I think I have all the achievements in Skyrim when I had it on my Xbox,
What?
excluding like the DLC achievements,
Hmm.
but like the core,
Yeah, the
like
core.
vanilla achievements.
Yeah, yeah. And we're kind of rolling into the final minutes, and we're talking about games, and clearly we're talking about classics and backlog.
We originally started with Star Wars, by the way.
Yeah, we really did. How we got here, world will never know. Actually, if you go back and listen, you'll know. But um rolling into no, you know what? There was something else we were supposed to talk about, and we kind of did, but let's actually coin it. Corporate greed. And
Absolutely.
Star Wars, you could even use Star Wars like we said with gaming. They ruined Battlefront series, or not ruined it, but they took a big gouge at the Battlefront series by trying to make hand over fist 10 times profit. Um
Absolutely.
and it was unnecessary because the game was going to sell. You just throw the Star Wars label on it and it's going to sell. Like,
Hmm.
dude, I'm shocked there isn't like a Terraria or a Starbound Star Wars. Like, it is the same game, but you're just in the Star Wars universe with Star Wars planets and Star Wars creatures. I would play the hell out of that game. I'm like, oh,
You
you
know,
can get
I just had a thought though. You just said, slap the Star Wars label on it and it'll sell.
yeah,
Increasingly, that's becoming less of the case though.
good point.
So, they can't get away with just mediocre but Star Wars.
But
And
see, but you know what's so bad though? We're comparing Star Wars to Star Wars. Now,
yeah,
if you compare any of the Star Wars titles, no matter how good or bad, movie, video game, cartoon, comic, whatever, if you compare it to any other series, it's usually winning, even in its worst.
well, I mean, I think there's some cases where maybe that's not the case, but by and large, absolutely.
Yeah, like, okay, Han Solo did bad, but other movies would have begged to do as bad as Han Solo did.
I think didn't they just get a narrow profit or did they actually lose money?
Let me see.
I
But no,
remember hearing that Solo was like the first Star Wars to not turn a profit or something, or not
let's
hit a
see.
certain profit threshold.
So, okay, oops, the movie made 93 million. Sorry. like like that is bad for a Star Wars movie. But I feel like a
Yeah,
lot of other companies out there would have been happy to make 93 million off of their title.
that's true. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Here it is. This is one of the worst Star Wars movies. It's
Hmm.
called Solo, a Star Wars story. Like they couldn't even come up with a better title. Like they they would have did better to call it Shot First. Like First
Not
Blast.
bad.
Like anything else. Like just like how the best, in my opinion, the best modern Superman movie was the one that's not even called Superman. It's Man of Steel.
Which one is it? Oh
Man of
yeah.
Steel. Like I think that was the best one. Or one in modern times at least. Um, I'm just making sure my dog's not eating random stuff. But no, my point is, I just you're right. We're like the flack that Battlefront caught was work, like it was real. It was supposed to happen, but at the same time, people are still playing it to this day in mass numbers.
Yeah. Just as a sideshow, though, I would just like to add or put it out there. There's a game I play on my phone called Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It
Mm.
is under the EA umbrella, but it was developed by a game or by a company called Capital Games. It was just revealed that in 2019 they grossed a profit of 1 billion. Yet the game is severely neglected and they nickel and dime you like crazy.
You see what I'm saying? A cell phone Star Wars game that's neglected, probably hasn't had an update in 6 months.
No, they do constantly update it, but
Oh,
just
okay.
not what people want.
So they always update in order to make profit.
Yeah,
See, that's another problem for me is when games make major updates and it's clearly not in the benefit of the people playing the game. It's in the benefit of the people who profit off the game. That's always a bothersome thing to me. Like, come on, man. Like, make a change in benefit of us. Like, what did Bethesda just do with Blades? I want to say within the last couple months, they finally took the timers off a chest. But they of course waited 6 months after the game has been out. But they finally,
oh,
because go ahead.
did you play Blades?
Yeah, I played the heck out of it, man. I used to use my wife's phone because I had an older phone and I couldn't play it, and I would legit like save all my major chest opening until at night when I'm going to sleep. So like right now, it's like 9:30. I would have cracked open one of my 6 hour chests, knowing that when I wake up in the morning, it'd be ready to go. Like
Yeah.
that's how I would do it. Oh, I was dead serious about it. I'd be at work and I would go check the timer. Like okay, tap it, knowing like in an hour chest to be open. So I worked around the scheduling of it and I did it as best I can. But it was a hindering factor. It wasn't super hindering for me though as a gamer. Because
Man,
I understand it's a cell phone game and I understand that cell phone games have to make their money. But it did feel a little, it felt a little intense. Like really, 6 hours to open something. Like really.
exactly. Like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, 1 billion in profit. Like they just unleashed or just unveiled a a great new bundle that you can buy for a grand total of $100.
Wow.
You can basically catch up since if you're a new player, you start out from the beginning. But this game's been going on for about 6 years now. So if you want to make it to the end game or at least the middle tier, you can pay $100 only to catch up. But
Wow.
here's the most disgusting thing, I think. They always bring out the new characters. It because I don't know
Yeah.
how with any consistency, but you bring out a new character, instead of earning it, just through play, you can buy all the packs to get them now. I've seen people spend like hundreds of dollars for a character. It's like, what
It's
are you
gross.
doing?
It's gross. And the problem is, dude, the fact that they pay psychologists to come in, people who are like went to school for marketing and freaking might as well be string theory at this point. I just it's real evil and diabolical, all for the sake of profit. Now I'm all for people making their money. I'm not against capitalism. That's not my issue. My issue is aggressive greed. When
Yeah, like
you like,
there.
there's no
Yeah.
way this cell phone game should have made $1 billion. I'm
Mm.
sorry, it's not possible. Now, the only reason they made $1 billion is because of their price points, not because the game is that popular, but because they made it that expensive to get to certain things.
I know it's a relatively small community from what I've
That's what
heard.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that I only know I've only seen 3 people play it, and you're included. That says a lot.
I've refused to buy anything, so they won't get a
Yeah,
nickel out
no,
of
that's what
me.
I'm saying,
But
and you're a genius for it. Well, this is, what, we're already kind of over time, but there's one thing I do want to talk about before we get off, is the success of the Witcher Netflix series. I don't want to talk so much about that. I want to talk about how the game has been brought back to life, and that people are absolutely playing the living hell out of it, to the point to where it's seeing higher numbers than it did when it first released.
oh, nice.
Yeah, and I think in the real big positive for that, and I don't want to get into it too much because I'm probably going to shoot another podcast after this, and we'll probably talk about that in depth because we talk about video games here and Star Wars clearly. Is I'm excited for what this means for the future of video game TV series. The
They
fact that
used to be horrible.
they used to be absolutely horrible. I used to have like a guilty pleasure. Like, I actually enjoy that Super Mario Brothers movie, outside of the Goombas. I actually really
Oh my
enjoy
god.
it. Yeah, everybody do the dinosaur. Like, I think that's one of the greatest gross movies of all time. Like, I should hate it, but I absolutely love it. It's my guilty pleasure, just like
Don't
Taylor
forget the
Swift.
Mortal Kombat movies.
I thought those were great,
Oh, did you?
bro. We can fight right now, bro. Down.
I mean, I think the general
This
community
podcast is
would not
over.
agree with you there.
The StarCrossed Gamers is just dissolved. Thank you
We
guys
made it
for,
4 episodes.
yeah, we made it 4 episodes, but this it dies here on this hill that is Mortal Kombat. Um, the TV series is pretty good too. I didn't finish it. Um, yeah, wow. I don't know what to say. I'm so hurt right now.
I'm so sorry.
Your soul
Not
is
really.
mine. Um,
I know what we can do.
what?
Me, you, let's stop recording, take it outside like real men. Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat. God, dude. I don't know. I don't know if I would ever believe in my fighting skills enough to get into a tournament where you got to die at the end. Like, you are the person. You're like, I don't think I'd ever believe. Like, we're way over time, folks. Please check out all the links below. And then also just subscribe. We need all the help we can get. We're trying to be great here. Check us out on social media. All the links will be below. I'm Baron J67. You can find me everywhere at that.
And I am Johnny, where you can find me less of everywhere.
There you go. We only want you to find us where we want you to find us. And folks, this was a dope episode, man. I had a good time, and we're gonna consistently do this. We'll try to pump out at least 2.5 episodes a month. I say that number because that just sounds like a good average. It's a strange average, but I think that's a solid one. If we can get out every week, that would be even better. Oh,
Let's
that'd be
not get
so
our
good.
hopes up.
Let's not get our hopes up. I know I can strongly commit to 2.5 a month. Because that means we could probably do 2 episodes in a day. Who knows? You won't know, because it'll just be recorded, and you'll just hear us like you're hearing us now. And I'm ranting and I'm raving, and I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and peace.
Peace out.